Section 4.1, today we're going to look at congruent figures. Our objective today is I can identify corresponding parts of congruent figures. We say that two objects are congruent if they have the same size and the same shape. Okay? So we have to have those two situations or properties in order to talk about congruence. So we couldn't talk about a triangle and a circle being congruent because they're not the same shape. So to be congruent, we have to be comparing the same shape, and then those shapes have to be the same size in all parts. In other words, their angles are the same. They line up to be the same angles, and their sides line up to be the same angles. Okay? And so we would say then that two triangles are congruent if and only if their vertices can be matched up so that corresponding parts, meaning the angles and sides of the triangles, are congruent. Okay? And when we describe congruent triangles or other congruent polygons, vertices are listed in order of correspondence, meaning matching up congruent angle to congruent angle. So for instance, if I have triangle ABC and triangle XYZ, and even though my pictures don't look at it, I'm saying that these triangles are congruent. So in other words, my angle A and my angle X are the same measure. Angle B and angle Y are the same measure. And angle C and angle Z are the same measure. By the same token, side AB is the same measure as or length as side XY. Side BC is the same length as YZ, and AC is the same length as XZ. So I would say that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle XYZ. Okay? I could also say triangle CBA is congruent to triangle ZXY, because notice that angle C corresponds to angle Z, so they have to be in the same position. Angle B corresponds to angle X. I'm sorry, I did this wrong. Let me fix this. This is incorrect. Okay, C corresponds to Z, B corresponds to Y, and A corresponds to X. I apologize, that was a big mistake on my part. So this corresponds to this, B corresponds to Y. But notice that I saw right away that I made a mistake because the angles didn't match up. Okay? And so then notice that side AB matches up with side XY. Okay? Side BC matches up, here's BC, matches up with YZ. Okay? So everything has to be in the same order. Okay? And it's the same thing if we're looking at other polygons. So let's say I have something that looks like this. So this is a right angle, this is a right angle, and so this is A, B, C, D, E, and this is S, T, R, Q, and P. Okay? And so if these two are congruent, and they are, even though my pictures don't look the same, we would say, if I name the first polygon, polygon A, B, C, D, E, then the second polygon, I have to match up parts. So I have to kind of match these up. So A corresponds to P, B corresponds to Q, C corresponds to R, D corresponds to S, and E corresponds to T. Okay? So I would have to list it in that order because I list corresponding parts. So we're saying then that side AB is the same length as side PQ. And side DE, this one, is the same length as side ST. So I know that even sides are congruent by just looking at it. Okay? So example. So if I have this triangle, A, B, C, and this triangle, E, F, D, and I know this about the triangles. Okay? So I'm telling you they're congruent. So I want to write two statements that describe the congruence. So I can say triangle ABC is congruent to triangle A corresponds to F, B corresponds to E, and C corresponds to D. Okay? I could also say triangle CAB is congruent to triangle DFE. Okay? Because those are the vertices, the vertices that match up. Okay? So, example 2. If I tell you triangle WXY is congruent to triangle ABF. Okay? So here's the picture. Here's WXY. And here's ABF. And again, my pictures don't look exactly right, but I'm telling you that they are congruent. So because I know they're congruent, I know that angle W has to be congruent to what angle? Okay, well, W corresponds to A, so it has to be congruent to angle A. I know measure of angle B has to be the same as measure of angle X, because B corresponds to X. Okay? I know that segment XY, which is this segment, has to correspond to segment BF. And so if they correspond and they're the triangles are congruent, then the segments have to be congruent. So XY has to equal BF. So then length of AF, okay, so length of AF, well, AF corresponds to WY. So then those have to be the same length, okay? angle F corresponds to angle Y, because they are in the same position when listed. Okay, and segment XY has to be congruent to segment FB. Okay, so if I call the first triangle YWX, then the second triangle has to be listed within the corresponding order. So Y corresponds to F, W corresponds to A, and X corresponds to B. So we'd have to say triangle FAB. Well, what if I named the triangle BFA? Then the second triangle would have to be named, well, B corresponds to X, F corresponds to Y, and A corresponds to W. So it would have to be named in that order. Okay.